The coupe market is flourishing. There's probably never been a wider choice of shapes and styles for buyers to choose from, which makes the pressure on manufacturers all the greater when it comes time to introduce a new model into an increasingly fashion-conscious marketplace. So we've chosen two of the most contrasting coupes available today to take a look at. We have a timeless classic in the elegant and understated shape of the Peugeot 406 Coupe. And contrasting very much with that, we have, well, a rather loud new arrival in the shape of the new Toyota Celica. Like so many before them, Peugeot went to styling legend and hero of the drawing board Pininfarina for the shape of their new car. The result is beautiful, a blend of curves with details you will keep discovering as you live with the car. One look is enough to know that this shape is certain to become a future classic. Inside though, I'm less impressed. The dashboard from the 406 Saloon may have been glammed up with a few chrome instrument bezels and an admittedly tasty chrome gear lever, but it's not enough. I was disappointed with the interior of this car when I first saw it at launch, and I've been consistently disappointed every time I've climbed into one since. At first glance, it seems the Celica can't make up its mind whether to be rounded or sharp-edged. Overall, it's a fairly curvaceous shape, but it's made up of all these starkly cut-in straight lines. And at the front, well, it does make quite a bold statement, and it certainly gets some attention. At the rear, though, I think it's ugly. And that attention-grabbing exterior is complemented by an equally striking interior. There's no doubt there's a lot of thought gone into this, some of it not as successful as others. Looking at the dash itself, it's a bit like sitting here with Darth Vader staring straight back at you. And if you want to frighten the kids in the back, just do that. It isn't unattractive at all. The only problem is terrible quality plastics. Tap it anywhere and it feels very cheap and tacky. These racing seats are very comfortable and they look great, but perhaps rather thin for a longer journey. But the best thing of all about the interior is the driving position. Almost on the floor with your legs straight out in front of you, you feel like you really are about to take off in something a little bit sporty. And on first pulling away, that impression of sportiness is born through that low slung driving position, makes you feel a bit special. But the next thing you notice is the steering. It's very, very light, which is fine, but it's pretty numb. It doesn't seem to tell you much of what's going on. That can't be said about the gearbox though. It's great, very, very slick action, 6 gears as well, which is very handy when you get to motorway. It gets a bit crashing over bumps and perhaps it's a bit much through town, but as soon as you start to press on a country road, you do appreciate that lack of body roll and the control you feel you've got over the car. Now, in a real sports car, boot space is about as relevant as sleeve length on a tank top. But a coupe is different. It has to be able to demonstrate some real practical tourability. So what have we got? In the case of the Celica, it's not too bad. It's quite shallow, but it is fairly square and sensibly shaped. All fairly useful and practical. But what about the Peugeot? It's huge. I know it's corny, but you really could hide a body in there. Come on, out. If the Peugeot looks a bit of a smoothie, it drives very much the same way. The ride handling compromise is nigh on perfect, as is the weighting of the steering. It's pretty light, but communicative. You know what's going on. The gear change may be a bit long in the arm, but once you've got used to it, it is slick. It's definitely the best of the coupes if you wish to have your driving ability flattered, and the easiest to hustle down your favourite cross-country roads. It's also the most serene place to be. This interior may well boast all the stylistic passion of a full mica worktop, but it's very, very good at making you comfortable over a long journey, turning the 406 coupe into very much a long-legged cruiser. This particular one has the 3-litre V6 engine. It's perhaps fairer to compare the 2-litre version, on price anyway, with the Toyota Celica. And in fact, there are those that say they prefer the 2-litre, and that the loss of the smoothness of the V6 is more than compensated for by the loss of weight up front and the subsequent improvement to the handling. Look,
If we're going to be realistic, then it makes no difference whatsoever which of these two I decide I like the best, because any car in the coupe class is going to be bought primarily by looks and looks alone, and that's entirely a personal thing. I will tell you that for me, the sight of the Celica at first made me shudder in my boots. I did not like it. Now though, well, I've changed my mind and I do like it, and that's something I would probably whisper in the pub. But if I were to be buying one of these two, then it would probably have to be the better all-rounder, the elegantly styled Peugeot 406 Coupe. For you though, it could be either of them. It could be neither of them. There's no shortage of choice at the moment. You could go for a Fiat Coupe instead, or a Ford Kuga. What about a BMW 3 Series Coupe, or a Volvo C70? Oh, a Mercedes CLK.